Hi guys, Dogger here with a new video, and this video will be a TBC Shadow Priest video. So I'm going to talk about Shadow Priest in TBC and how it is for PvP. I've been playing on the Warmain TBC server, which is a private server, and it is on BlackRock. So basically a instant level 70 server where you can get like the minimum gear pretty much. Not the minimum gear, but like you have some good gear and you can progress if you're doing arenas, for example. So you see here end game gear, for example. You go into PvP, like top tier PvP gear. That's the top tier PvP gear that you can buy through your conquest, like arena points, excuse me, which like is a fair bit more than what you already have. So there is a gear difference, but I think it's fine. And you can also buy the off pieces with your honor and Warstone Gulch marks, which is also quite fun. So I like that. I'm not going to talk too much about raids, but what I can say is a Shadow Priest is for sure needed in your raids, like at least one, maybe two if it's a caster heavy raid. For every like caster group, you actually want to have like a mana battery, and that is the Shadow Priest. And Vampiric Touch, which is a dot that you get on the Shadow Priest spec tree, will cause all party members to gain mana equal to 5% of any shadow spell damage you deal. It is very good because, again, sometimes in raids or in dungeons, the limiting factor of you progressing very fast or like dealing a lot of damage is your mana, especially with like arcane mages. They're going to spend a lot of mana, for example. It will be good to have like that mana back whenever you are dealing the damage. You can also play like a Smite Priest that's also existing in TBC, but it's like less group efficient, I would say. But it is party members, so you will have only one Shadow Priest and probably like one caster group. You could maybe use a second Shadow Priest if you have like a very caster heavy raid, which should not be, but like you have a warlock. You have two warlocks maybe, I think a mage or two, and then you have your Shadow Priest. Maybe an elemental shaman, I don't know. It really depends on how your group composition is, because like, again, you want crit, you want mana battery, maybe it's for the healers. It depends. Anyways, let's talk about what changes for Shadow Priest. Shadow Priest gets a bit more interesting spec talents, I would say. A lot of the things are also changed. You may like it or not. Shadow Weaving got nerfed. It's now 10%. Shadow Reach is only 2 points instead of 3. You have, for example, reduced mana cost, which is very good in raids and also in PvP, for Mind Blast, Mind Control, and Mind Flay. Your silence is still super strong. You have still Darkness, and obviously you have Shadow Form. But you also get a talent which is like improving your critical strike chance on Mind Blast and Shadow Word Death. Shadow Word Death is a new class ability that you get, which is going to make you either able to outplay CC or deal heavy damage whenever someone is low HP. If you're doing Mind Blast into a Shadow Word Death, that's pretty much GG's, a very big clap in the chat, pretty much. You also have Misery, which is also, again, why you do take a Shadow Priest in your groups, because you're going to put Misery as a debuff on the mob, which makes that the mob will take 5% additional spell damage from anyone. So it's very good. You want to have Shadow Pain and Vampiric Touch at all times, and Mind Flay whenever you cannot do Mind Blast, for example. And that will give the target an additional 5% increased damage taken by spell damage. So you are needed for the mana battery, you also need it for the 5% spell damage. In general, it's very good. Shadow Priest finally gets like a place in raids, and I would say also in PvP, it is also very cool to have a Shadow Priest that can also dispel, Mass Dispel, because you do get Mass Dispel, which is very strong versus mage, very strong versus paladins, and in general, you're going to face way more paladins, especially this TBC, and you will see a lot of mages because of the number of mages you have in Classic. That will dribble down into TBC as well. So that is very strong. It is also spammable, and you can find people out of stealth. That's also like something you are going to use it often, and you can use it while you are in shadow form, which is very strong. All the alliance, I don't know about Horde, But all the alliance priest gets fear ward. So you see, I'm a human, I do get fear ward, and I can use it while in shadow form. That is not possible in classic. If you're a dwarf, you're fear warding, you have shadow form, it takes shadow form away because it's a holy spell for some reason. And this is now a disc spell, so it is making a lot more sense. You also have feedback, which is like, again, like the human thing, I think. You also get that for every single alliance priest, and that's it. Also, mana burn is a way more prominent spell in TBC. There is a meta, especially in arenas, to mana burn the healers. If like it's a 2v2, nobody dies. If you're a disc priest, you're going to spam mana burn most likely. And even if you're a shadow priest, you might also do that. There are a few builds where you can play with mental agility at first because the mana is a problem. But once you have a bit more gear, you can actually play improved inner fire with improved mana burn. And that is going to make it a lot more smoother. You're going to survive a lot more damage. And in general, it's going to be a lot better to play around. There are also a few changes here and there. For example, PI. I'm talking about disc priest here, but I think it's interesting to talk about it as well. It increases now spell haste, so spell casting speed, and reduces the mana cost of all spells, which is also very strong. I prefer that over the one from Classic, because now you can also use it for yourself as a disc priest and have like efficient healing as well. And you also get range suppression, which is going to be the one thing that makes disc priest one of the best, or if not the best healer in PvP as well. Holy Priest gets like Circle of Healing, which is a cool spell. I don't know how efficient it is, but it is an instant spell, so it's cool. And Lightwall is still very, very bad. Anyways, that's just to talk about. Obviously, you can also play Smite Priest. I might make a video about that. Why not? But Shadow Priest. So, how do I find Shadow Priest in PvP? I might also queue a PvP BG. So you see, you have a solo queue. I did a bit of a solo queue PvP, but I think it's a bit unfair for me to judge like purely arenas for Shadow Priest, because I feel like I am not the best Shadow Priest, especially like right now in TBC. It plays way differently from retail, so obviously I still need to learn a lot. But we have a BG, so I think Shadow Priest is way more fun in TBC than Classic, because obviously you have a bit more mana. Your spells do some good damage. I don't know if it's like the best, to be fair. I don't think I can call it like the best out there. That's not true. We were getting farmed, so that's a bit unfortunate. I cannot really test here. Do I have like the right settings? Because again, I did names. We have enemy nameplates. Nice. In general, now you have two dots, so you have Vampiric and Touch, and you have the Shower Pain, obviously. You have Mind Blast, which is also very strong, and obviously your Blackout is like proccing very, very often as well. Now I'm getting like farmed by 3 guys, whatever. But you have now your Blackout kick, Blackout stun, which is also like very useful in TBC. It's the same as in Classic, but it feels like it procs way more often because you have just more spells. You have Vampiric Touch, you have Shadow Pain, you have your Mind Blast, you have Shadow Death, you have obviously your Mind Flay. All these things are very, very cool, and it can also proc on Mana Burn. So again, for now I have these talents, but I might just switch to Mana Burn because Mana Burn is very strong. I would say that Shadow Priest is also very popular on this server because a lot of people are testing it. I would say that damage wise you can like 1v1 pretty much everyone, so that's a very good 1v1 class. In arenas you might off heal a lot, so you have your Prayer of Mending, which is one of the best spells to cast in general. Now, can I just like defeat him? I don't think I can defeat him because like there are too many. I'm gonna try to kite him. Okay, whatever. That's gonna be difficult. Very big touch. Mind Blast. I'm gonna try to Mind Flay him the whole time. So you see, like, he cannot do anything versus me. Like, I'm not playing very well either. Gonna do a Shadowward Death. Boom. I did damage on myself. I have no mana, but that's like life. I'm gonna try to hit him with my staff because I don't have my wand bound. I might just kill him with my staff as well. Boom. I think downranking is still a thing though in TBC. That's how I feel, because obviously mana is still very important. Do I have like a drink? I don't think I have bought any drinks. Mana is still very important in TBC. Oh, I might just die here. I'm tired of my voice. My voice is just broken, man. Mana is still a thing, and you still will struggle with mana, even with the mana battery effect, which is Vampiric Touch, because it's more useful to the other people than to yourself, because obviously you're spending mana to regen mana. It is technically just a mana reduction, if you're thinking about it, and it's more like efficient towards the other players, because obviously if you're spending mana and you get like just only 5% of damage done the mana back, it's not going to be too much. Like even if you do like a Mind Blast of 1000, you get only 5% back, which is basically 50 mana. If you have used Mind Blast, which is 382, it is not going to make you sustain any much. Like it's not going to be too much. Yeah, I just get destroyed here. Yeah, they're getting farmed, unfortunately. So I entered the PG, which is getting farmed. So if I have to judge, like purely judge the class, okay, you have good damage, you have good off healing, although I cannot really show you here because obviously we're getting farmed. I'm doing 1v3s, getting destroyed, whatever. But you have good off heals because you have your shield, which is very strong. You have also your prayer of mending, which is also healing for a lot, especially if you're like close to someone. It is a very, very efficient healing. And obviously you're going to lose shadow form, but that's all right. You have more spells available to you because now like the alliance ratios, which is like for example Fear Ward, you have your Desperate Prayer, you have your how it's called, feedback. That is like shared through the races. The only one that is actually losing is Night Elf, for example. I don't know if they're keeping their arcane thingy. It might be, but I still think Undead is most likely the best one because it gets like a extra dot, which is not like very efficient, but it is doing some good damage. So you could see it like that. But in general, I do feel like it's a very, very fun class. So I would say if I have to rate it out of 10, right now as a class spec, like Shadow Priest, you also have to think about your off specs, which is Disc Priest, and you could also play Holy Priest or Smite Priest. I would say that it's a 7.5 or maybe an 8 out of 10 because it is just an upgrade from Classic. It is way better than Classic. I would say healing wise, it's also very fun. You have Prayer of Mending, which is in my opinion my favorite heal in TBC with like Life Bloom. I also like the fact that you have great CC on Shadow Priest because you have Silence. You have your Mind Control. You also have Master Spell, which is super, super strong. It's not a CC, but it's like, again, if you have a mage versus you and you're Master Spelling, he is fucked, right? You still have Fear Ward. If you're a human, you have Perception, so it makes you very strong versus rogues. You still can spam Dispel on yourself and on the enemy. You are a 2v2 very, very strong double DPS spec. So if you like double DPS 2v2s, Shadow Priest is actually very efficient because it actually heals a lot for what it is. It has great CC. It has somewhat of a survivability because you can actually play a very tanky spec. You also do deal some good damage and you have some good finishing power with Shadowward Death. What else? I also think in general, since you have also off specs, you have dual spec in Classic, it's going to be quite fun to be able to play Disc Priest and then swap out to Shadow Priest and then swap out to Smite Priest if you want to. You have multiple ways to play the game, and I think it's a very fun way to play the game. Like strong wise, I would say in BGs it is actually very decent. I would say it's an 8 out of 10 if I'm playing about the like BGs and you're like playing a normal BG, not the one that you have seen. I might make like a pure gameplay video after, so I can show you what it does in gameplay, like in BGs, without like getting stomped. But in general, I do believe like it's an 8 out of 10 because it is like very valuable. It has the spells, mass spell, it has dots, it has like a mana battery effect, which is again not that great for yourself, but great for your teammates. Off heals, like the damage is also quite high. Actually, if you're like untouched, you are going to be the target. So maybe that's less fun in general. But I do believe like you have one of the higher damage like potentials if you're like left alone. If you're Spike Mind Flay, Mind Blast on repeat, Shadow Death whenever someone is low HP, you're going to deal a lot of damage, and I think it's also fun to play. You also have multiple schools of spells, so if you're getting kicked on Shadow, you could always do Smite. It's not efficient, but you can also do that if you want to. And there are multiple specs you play. If you're playing Shadow, you can play 41 points, obviously, in Shadow, and then you can maybe even go into Holy, so you could actually be very unkickable. There's a build where you can play with like crit healing, and then you have a crit holy spells, and then you have Divine Fury. And you can then maybe play with Holy Nova, which is not that efficient, and you can go down to 20 points here. My favorite is still going to be the Shadow Priest with Disc Priest, and I would go for Unbreakable Will, which is super strong. Again, you want to resist stuns. Shadow Power Word Shield being very strong is also very important. Martyrdom is always going to be nice. Inner Focus is also very cool. And obviously, if you can actually go down to Absolution to have the mana cost reduction on Dispel Magic, Cure Disease, Multi-Spell, and Abolish Disease. You also have Improved Mana Burn, which is super strong. It becomes like a 2-second cost. It's way better than Classic, and it deals some okay damage, but it burns mana like nothing. So if you can spam that, the healers are going to cry in general. Then you have Inner Fire, which is going to make you more tanky. Tanky is making you dealing more damage because you're going to survive more damage in general. So I do like that build, and I think in general it's a good choice to play TBC Shadow Priest. Now in arenas, I didn't test too much because again, I mainly did BGs on the private server, but I liked the fact that you are a good team player, I would just say in general, but you have like no mobility. The survivability is not as good as in Wrath. You don't have dispersion, so it kind of sucks. But I think in 2v2, where the damage is a bit less spiky because you're going to either face double DPS versus double DPS, or you're going to face DPS with a healer, you can actually like manage to survive a bit longer than like in 3v3 where CC can just like end the game pretty fast. So maybe it's like a me problem. Maybe I need to learn. I do believe like if I have to judge Shadow Priest in 3s, it would be like maybe B tier, something like that, maybe a bit lower, because it doesn't survive and you have to cast. So I don't know if it's really good. But in 2v2, I think it's respectable. You can have a lot of fun with it, and that's mainly the bracket I play. Like in general, I like 2v2. I wish in retail it was a bit more glorified, but unfortunately it is not. But I think 2v2 is like one of the best brackets in the game, like in general. Will I play TBC Priest? I still don't know because it depends on how many characters I want to play. But it is a high contender. I think the reason why I played Classic Priest is because I wanted to play Priest TBC. If it's like a healer or if it's like a Shadow Priest, that will be decided probably once TBC is out. So I think that's pretty much the thing I wanted to rate and to talk about. If you have questions, please let me know. If you want to know what the server is, it is Warmain TBC server, Blackrock. You can literally get to level 70. You get full like geared, not like BIS, but like starter gear, and you can actually go grind that end game gear, whatever you want. It's only 10 o'clock in the morning, so you have like BGs popping at any time. So that's a cool thing, and I think it's also quite fun to test classes in general before we're playing TBC. Again, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.